Malekith is the villain nobody remembers. And honestly, that's the most accurate review possible. He's the main villain of Thor: The Dark World. Nobody remembers that movie either. His plan involves the Ether, an ancient weapon he wants to use to plunge the universe into eternal darkness.
Your universe was never meant to be. Your world and your family will be extinguished!
Cool plan on paper, zero execution in reality. His design looks like someone grabbed a Halloween mask, painted half of it white, and called it done. There are no iconic lines, no aura farming moments.
Death would have come to you soon enough.
Not by your hand.
Your universe was never meant to be.
Not a single scene where you feel genuinely threatened by this man. Thor defeats him. The audience reaction is basically relief that the movie ended. Malekith doesn't have an aura debt. He has an aura bankruptcy, the absolute gold standard for how not to write an MCU villain. No memorable entrance, no memorable exit, no memorable anything. Straight to the bottom with zero debate required. Dar-Benn is the villain from the Marvels. I genuinely had to look up her name 3 times while writing this. It refused to stick in my brain. She's a Kree warrior.
The Civil War has polluted our skies. My people cannot breathe. Our sun is dying.
She blames Carol Danvers for the destruction of her homeworld Hala.
For 30 years, I have been fighting alongside you. Not only have I brought you peace,
She wants to steal natural resources from other worlds to restore it. Solid motivation on paper, genuinely. But the execution is so flat you forget she exists while she's literally on screen. Her weapon creates jump point tears across the universe. Sounds cool. She just waves it around doing nothing interesting with it. No iconic lines. No scenes where the audience leans forward. No moments where she genuinely threatened anyone worth caring about.
You're living up to your name again.
I didn't want this.
Death seems to follow you.
She gets defeated. Credits roll. Everyone immediately starts talking about literally anything else. Dar-Benn isn't the worst MCU villain ever made. That title belongs to Malekith, but she's a very close second. Yon-Rogg is the villain from Captain Marvel. The most memorable thing about him is that he spent the entire movie pretending to be the good guy.
You have to let go of the past.
I don't remember my past.
It's causing you doubt, and doubt makes you vulnerable.
Then he revealed he was the bad guy. The audience collectively said, okay, and moved on with their lives. He's Carol Danvers' Kree commander and mentor. He's been suppressing her powers for years, feeding her false memories the entire time.
Let me see where you're headed. That's right, look at the coordinates. Focus.
That's actually a genuinely sinister thing to do, but the execution is so underwhelming, the sinisterness never lands. No iconic moments, no lines that stick, no scenes where he feels like a real threat. Then Carol gets her full powers back. Yon-Rogg tries to challenge her to a fair one-on-one fight.
Turn off the light show and prove to me you can beat me without...
She blasts him across a field without even looking at him properly. He gets sent back to Hala in a pod with a warning message. That's not a villain defeat. That's a villain dismissal. Zero aura. Justin Hammer is the villain from Iron Man 2, and he's one of the most entertaining disasters to ever appear in an MCU film. He's a weapons manufacturer who is essentially Tony Stark with none of the genius. All the desperation, though.
Now, I need suits. The government wants suits. Like Iron Man, you understand? That's what the people want.
His plan is simple. Hire Ivan Vanko, build an army of Iron Man suits, embarrass Stark at his own expo. That plan goes catastrophically wrong. Vanko was never actually working for him. Hammer spends the entire movie being manipulated by his own hired villain. The suits malfunction.
Out of here! Go! This whole system's been compromised!
Let's take it outside.
The expo becomes a war zone. Hammer gets arrested on live television. Not a single thing he attempted worked. But here's the thing. His swagger never wavered once. He walked into every disaster like he was winning. That confidence in the face of total incompetence is genuinely impressive. Zero aura as a villain. Maximum aura as a man who simply refuses to acknowledge reality.
Press is faced with quite a different problem. They are about to run out of ink.
Crossbones is from Captain America: Civil War, and calling him a villain is genuinely a stretch. He appears for approximately 7 minutes before exploding.
You gotta go. And you're coming with me.
His real name is Brock Rumlow. He was a SHIELD agent who turned out to be a Hydra operative in Winter Soldier. He comes back in Civil War with a burned face and a tactical suit. He has a very serious grudge against Steve Rogers. The opening Lagos mission fight is actually decent. He goes toe-to-toe with Captain America, lands real hits. For 4 minutes, he feels like a legitimate threat. Then he triggers a suicide vest. Wanda tries to contain the explosion. It goes sideways. Civilians die. The entire Sokovia Accords plotline is born from that moment. So in terms of plot importance, he matters enormously.
Inflict their will wherever they choose, and who, frankly, seem unconcerned about what they leave behind.
In terms of personal aura, though, he's basically a plot device wearing a skull mask. Respectable, but forgettable. Abomination is the villain from The Incredible Hulk. His entire existence can be summarized in one sentence. Big man wants to be bigger than the other big man. Emil Blonsky is a British Special Forces soldier.
Got him doing serious work again, bold work. Across the hall, they're trying to arm you better. They were trying to make you better.
He fights the Hulk. He loses badly. He becomes obsessed with that power.
How do you feel?
Pissed off and ready for round 3.
He injects himself with a modified super soldier serum. Then he injects himself with Banner's gamma-irradiated blood. He transforms into the Abomination, a creature even larger than the Hulk, with bone spikes all over his body. The design is genuinely intimidating. The final fight through Harlem is destructive enough to feel threatening. But here's the problem. Blonsky has zero personality beyond wanting to be stronger.
You've got a little something in you already, don't you?
I want more. You've seen what he becomes, right?
No ideology, no compelling motivation, no memorable lines, no moments where you feel anything other than waiting for Hulk to finish him off. Solid monster design, completely hollow villain. The MCU deserved better than this for its second ever film. Dreykov is the main villain from Black Widow. He's living proof that a genuinely evil plan doesn't automatically give you aura.
She was the only one affected, right?
As far as I know, yes.
These gases and antidotes.
He runs the Red Room program, a global network where he kidnaps young girls, strips them of their free will through chemical mind control, turns them into assassins called Black Widows. That's legitimately one of the darkest villain motivations in the entire MCU. The problem is the man himself has the screen presence of a middle management bureaucrat. He spends most of the film hiding behind his mind-controlled army, talking menacingly into phones, sitting in rooms looking smug.
My widows can start and end wars. They can make and break kings.
When Natasha finally confronts him directly, he believes she can't hurt him. She's chemically prevented from attacking him, so she breaks her own nose to alter her biochemistry and bypass the chemical trigger. Then she beats him unconscious. He dies when his facility explodes. An evil plan deserving of a top 10 villain, a man deserving of absolutely nothing. Taskmaster is the villain from Black Widow. On pure action alone, this character is genuinely impressive. The ability to perfectly mimic any fighting style after observing it once is one of the most dangerous powers in the MCU. Watch Captain America fight for 10 seconds. Suddenly, you're fighting Captain America. Watch Black Widow, Hawkeye, and Black Panther. Suddenly, you're all three of them simultaneously. The action sequences are legitimately some of the best choreographed fights in the entire film. But then the mask comes off. Taskmaster is Antonia Dreykov, daughter of the main villain, turned into a mind-controlled weapon by her own father after surviving an explosion.
I had to put a chip in the back of her neck. In the back of her neck. Look at her.
Zero personal agency, zero choice, zero genuine villainy.
Go to work. I have rats in the basement, Go.
She was never actually a villain. She was a victim with good combat skills. The potential for this character was enormous. What we got instead was a plot twist that deflated every single threatening moment she'd built. Massive aura waste. Ghost is the villain from Ant-Man and the Wasp. She follows the exact same blueprint as Taskmaster, except she got there first. Ava Starr gained her phasing abilities after a quantum energy experiment killed both her parents. It left her molecularly unstable. She phases in and out of physical matter constantly. She can't control it. It causes her excruciating pain every single day of her life.
No. It just helps me control it. And the pain, supposedly.
S.H.I.E.L.D. trained her as an assassin and weaponized her condition. Her powers are genuinely terrifying in action. Watching her phase through walls, through people, through solid matter at full speed is visually spectacular. But the problem is identical to Taskmaster. She's not evil. She's desperate. She wants to steal quantum energy from Janet Van Dyne to heal herself. By the end of the film, she gets partially healed and immediately stops being a villain. Just like that.
It hurts. It always hurts.
Powers that belonged in a top 15 villain. Motivation that belonged in a support group. Whiplash is the villain from Iron Man 2. Ivan Vanko is a man of very few words and absolutely enormous energy whips. His father Anton Vanko worked alongside Howard Stark on arc reactor technology. He died in poverty after being deported. Ivan spent his entire life building toward one moment of revenge against the Stark family. He walks onto a Formula 1 racing circuit in Monaco, cuts racing cars in half with plasma whips, nearly kills Tony Stark in broad daylight. Zero armor, zero backup. That scene alone is one of the most visually striking villain introductions in MCU history. The problem is everything after that scene. He gets arrested, gets broken out by Justin Hammer.
Tony Stark. What I saw you do to Tony Stark on that track, how you stepped up to him in front of God and everybody.
Spends the rest of the film building drones in a warehouse, then dies in the final battle after maybe 4 minutes of actual screen time. The Monaco scene deserved a better villain wrapped around it. Ivan Vanko had one elite aura moment, then quietly disappeared. Alexander Pierce is the villain from Captain America: The Winter Soldier. He's the definition of a villain whose plan is more impressive than his actual presence. He's the senior S.H.I.E.L.D. World Security Council member.
I appreciate your wit, Secretary Pierce. But this council takes things like international piracy fairly seriously.
Really?
He also turns out to be the secret head of Hydra's infiltration of S.H.I.E.L.D., an operation 70 years in the making. Think about that for a second. Hydra spent 70 years quietly embedding themselves inside the very organization built to stop them. That's genuinely one of the most patient villain plans in MCU history. Pierce himself, though, is essentially a very well-dressed bureaucrat who gives speeches and makes phone calls. Robert Redford brings natural authority to the role. He elevates every scene he appears in. But when the plan unravels and Pierce is finally exposed, he goes out quietly, shot by Nick Fury. No final speech, no last stand.
Time to go, Councilwoman. This way. Come on. You're gonna fly me out of here.
You know, that was the time I would have taken a bullet for you.
No legendary villain moment. The plan deserved a top 10 villain. The man himself was just a very powerful suit. Ronan is the villain from Guardians of the Galaxy. He genuinely starts as one of the most threatening presences in the entire MCU before completely destroying himself in the final act. He's a Kree fanatic.
I shall honor our agreement, Kree, if you bring me the order.
He wants to wipe out the Nova Corps and the entire planet Xandar. Pure ideological hatred, nothing more. His introduction is him executing a prisoner in a stone bath while delivering a speech about war. His ship, the Dark Aster, is enormous and terrifying. He physically overpowers Drax the Destroyer like it's a minor inconvenience. He holds an Infinity Stone in his bare hand without dying. Almost nobody in the MCU can do that. Peak aura farming for 3/4 of the film.
Call me boy! I will unfurl 1,000 years of Kree justice on Xandar and burn it to its core!
And then Star-Lord challenges him to a dance-off. Ronan stops, stares, gets completely blindsided while distracted, then gets destroyed. Everything he built across the entire film evaporated in 60 seconds. He couldn't process somebody dancing at him. Catastrophic aura collapse. Aldrich Killian is the villain from Iron Man 3. His origin story is what happens when you take the ignored nerdy guy trope and inject him with experimental regenerative tissue. He shows up at a New Year's Eve party in 1999, stuttering, cane in hand, desperately trying to get Tony Stark's attention. Stark brushes him off completely.
I'm working with you. Yeah, I'll ditch these clowns. I'll see you up on the roof in 5 minutes. Just gonna try to get my beak wet real quick. You know what I'm talking about?
Killian spends the next 13 years building himself into the head of advanced idea mechanics. He develops Extremis, a virus that rewrites human biology, superhuman strength, regenerative healing, the ability to breathe fire. He also constructs an entire fake terrorist identity called the Mandarin to distract the government while running his real operation. That level of patience and planning is genuinely impressive.
You're looking right at him. It was always me, Tony. Right from the start.
I am the Mandarin!
The problem is Killian never fully shook the insecure energy underneath all that power. His taunting feels desperate rather than dominant. Strong plan, weak presence. He tried too hard to prove something, and you could feel it every single scene. Yellowjacket is the villain from Ant-Man. Darren Cross is genuinely one of the more underrated tension builders in the MCU.
Is an all-purpose weapon of war, capable of altering the size of the wearer for the ultimate combat advantage.
He's Hank Pym's former protege. He became obsessed with replicating Pym particle technology after Pym refused to share it with him. He takes over Pym Technologies, spends years reverse engineering the shrinking technology, develops the Yellowjacket suit, a weaponized version of the Ant-Man suit, designed purely for combat. What makes Cross genuinely unsettling is his unpredictability. He's calm and composed in board meetings. Then he casually disintegrates a businessman in the same room without changing his expression. That contrast between corporate politeness and sudden violence creates genuine tension throughout the entire film.
What are you doing?
He wasn't any more capable of caring for you than he was for me.
This is not who you are. It's the particles altering your brain chemistry.
His suit design is legitimately menacing, darker, more aggressive, and more weaponized than Scott Lang's. He loses in the quantum realm, gets shrunk into nothingness for eternity. One of the more creative villain defeats in MCU history. Solid villain, deserves significantly more screen time. Caecilius is the villain from Doctor Strange. He's a genuinely fascinating villain who got slightly shortchanged by his own movie's priorities. He's a former master of the mystic arts. He lost his family, turned to the Ancient One for answers.
Lost in need. Trusted you to be my teacher, and you fed me lies.
I tried to protect you.
Discovered she was secretly drawing power from the dark dimension, then decided the only logical response was to summon Dormammu, merge Earth with the dark dimension entirely. His motivation isn't world domination for power or wealth. He genuinely believes merging with the dark dimension removes all human suffering. That's a villain with actual philosophical conviction. Rare in the MCU. Mads Mikkelsen brings an unsettling calm to every scene. It makes Caecilius feel genuinely dangerous even when he's just talking. His fractured eye makeup and dark robes give him a striking visual identity. He loses when Doctor Strange traps Dormammu in a time loop, and Caecilius gets dragged into the dark dimension alongside him.
What is this?
Well, it's everything you ever wanted. Eternal life is part of the one.
Solid villain. Deserves 20 more minutes of screen time easily. Icarus is the villain from Eternals. He's genuinely one of the most tragic betrayals in MCU history, even if the film didn't fully capitalize on it. He's an Eternal, an artificial being created by the Celestials.
Deviants on your own, we need to guard the city.
I didn't come to this planet to cower behind walls.
No, we need to trust.
Sent to Earth thousands of years ago, he spent centuries secretly knowing his entire mission would end with the planet's destruction. The celestial Tiamat was growing inside Earth's core. Its emergence would destroy the planet entirely. Icarus chose to protect that plan, over humanity, over his teammates, over Cersei, the woman he loved for literal centuries. That's a devastating character choice. His powers are also legitimately elite. Flight, laser eyes powerful enough to challenge Thor-level beings. Near invulnerability, the laser eye sequences are some of the most visually striking power displays in MCU history. He loses when the combined Eternals stop the emergence, then flies directly into the sun, unable to live with what he chose. Not a villain you hate, a villain you genuinely feel sorry for.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Obadiah Stane is the villain from the original Iron Man. His position on this list is secured by one single line that hit harder than anything else in that entire film. He's Tony Stark's business partner and father figure. He's been secretly running Stark Industries' illegal weapons dealings behind Tony's back for years. He hired the Ten Rings to assassinate Tony in Afghanistan.
Compliments of Tony Stark.
If you kill him when you were supposed to, you'd still have a face.
When that failed, he reverse-engineered Tony's arc reactor technology, built himself the Ironmonger suit, a massive, heavily armored version of the Iron Man suit designed purely to destroy. The reveal that this trusted father figure was the villain genuinely landed. And then he delivers that line. Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave, with a box of scraps.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave! With a box of scraps!
The contempt in that delivery is perfect. He loses when Pepper activates the arc reactor, and the resulting explosion sends him into it. First MCU villain ever, set the template for every business partner villain that followed. Dormammu is the villain from Doctor Strange. He's one of the most unique villain concepts the MCU has ever attempted. He's not a man with a plan or a soldier with a grudge. He's an incomprehensibly powerful, interdimensional being. He exists outside of time itself. He's been consuming entire dimensions for what appears to be eternity. His visual design is genuinely terrifying. A massive dark energy entity with a face that shifts and pulses like something that shouldn't exist in any reality. The problem is his actual appearance in the film is surprisingly brief. Doctor Strange traps him in a time loop using the Time Stone. He dies and resets over and over again.
It's time. Endless, looped time.
Dormammu agrees to leave Earth alone simply to escape the loop. An all-powerful being who consumes dimensions gets defeated by an annoying time loop. The concept of Dormammu is top 5 MCU villain material. The execution gave us a negotiation scene.
Take your zealots from the Earth. End your assault on my world. Never come back.
Terrifying in theory, slightly underwhelming in practice. Red Skull is the villain from Captain America, the First Avenger. Johann Schmidt is genuinely one of the purest villain concepts the MCU ever produced. He has no sob story, no traumatic backstory pushing him toward redemption, no moment where he questions his choices. He injected himself with an early version of the super soldier serum. It amplified everything dark inside him. His face literally turned into a red skull. He looked at that and said, "Perfect," and kept going. He runs Hydra, a weapons division so extreme that even the Nazis considered them too much. His plan is to use the Tesseract to power weapons capable of destroying entire cities. Simple, clean, no philosophical complexity required.
Not exactly an improvement, but still impressive.
His design is iconic. The Red Skull face makes him one of the most visually distinct villains in MCU history. He also returns in Infinity War as the Soul Stone Keeper on Vormir, floating around, delivering cryptic warnings.
Saul holds a special place among the Infinity Stones.
A villain who never needed a sob story to be genuinely threatening. Ultron is the villain from Avengers: Age of Ultron. He's what happens when Tony Stark's anxiety about the future gets accidentally poured into an artificial intelligence with access to every weapon on Earth. He comes online, spends approximately 4 minutes understanding human existence, decides humanity is the problem.
The mainframe, what are you trying to do?
Having a nice talk. I'm a peacekeeping program created to help the Avengers.
Immediately tries to kill everyone in the Avengers facility. That escalation speed alone is genuinely impressive. His plan is to drop a Sokovian city from the atmosphere like a meteor, trigger a global extinction event. He builds an army of robots, recruits Wanda and Pietro Maximoff, nearly pulls it off. His dialogue is genuinely sharp, darkly witty, theatrically menacing, completely unpredictable.
Strings had to kill the other guy. He was a good guy.
You killed someone?
Wouldn't have been my first call.
He also kills an older version of his own body mid-conversation without breaking his sentence. One of the coldest moments in MCU history. His weakness is that being built entirely of metal removes a certain human unpredictability the best villains have. Threatening, intelligent, genuinely dangerous. Just missing that final layer of aura. Mysterio is the villain from Spider-Man: Far From Home. Quentin Beck is the MCU's greatest con artist dressed as its greatest hero. He presents himself as an interdimensional superhero from an alternate Earth.
The strongest of them all. The one that destroyed my Earth. It's the one that took my family.
Legitimate backstory, powerful-looking abilities, confident heroic energy. Everyone, including Nick Fury, is completely fooled.
You should join us.
Thank you. I just might take you up on that.
He's actually a former Stark Industries employee. Tony Stark fired him after dismissing his holographic projection technology as a party trick.
And then he fired me.
So he built a team of equally bitter ex-Stark employees, weaponized the projection technology into full-scale environmental illusions, constructed an entirely fake superhero identity, all to steal the Edith system, a Stark satellite network controlling weapons of mass destruction. The reveal scene in Prague where he drops the hero act completely is one of the most satisfying villain reveals in MCU history. He then traps Spider-Man inside cascading reality-bending illusions that are visually extraordinary.
You are are just a scared little kid in a sweatsuit.
He loses to Peter's instincts in the final battle.
You can't trick me anymore.
But not before successfully exposing Spider-Man's identity to the entire world. Went out, causing maximum damage.
Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker.
Gore is the villain from Thor: Love and Thunder. Christian Bale delivered one of the most genuinely unsettling villain performances in MCU history inside a film that frankly did not deserve him. He spent his entire life praying to his god in desperate poverty. His daughter died from starvation. He crawled to a sacred place hoping for divine mercy.
My lord, the land is dry. Our life is lost.
He found his god laughing and feasting without a single care. He picks up the Necro Sword, a weapon capable of killing gods. He kills that god immediately, then decides to kill every single god in existence.
All gods will die.
His design is extraordinary. Pale, skeletal, wrapped in dark robes, the Necro Sword permanently corrupting his body. Every scene he appears in carries genuine menace. Christian Bale plays him with a quiet devastation that makes him feel real rather than theatrical. The tragedy is the film surrounding him undercut his threat constantly with misplaced comedy. Gore deserved a darker film. What he got instead was Thor being distracted by screaming goats.
It's not, we just use it to meet. Meeting people, they have great conversations.
Criminal misuse of an elite villain.
Some god you are.
You know nothing of being a god.
Kang is the villain from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. He's simultaneously one of the most powerful and most frustrating villains the MCU has produced. He's a time-traveling conqueror, exiled into the quantum realm by his own variants. They considered him too dangerous even by their standards. He's conquered timelines, plural.
I told you, time isn't what you think. I can make it.
He's fought and killed so many versions of the Avengers, he's genuinely lost count. He tells Scott Lang this casually, like it's a minor biographical detail.
Have I killed you before?
What?
They all blur together after a while.
Jonathan Majors brings extraordinary physicality and psychological intensity to every scene. Calm when he should be panicking, terrifying when he should be reasonable. His fight sequences in the quantum realm are genuinely elite.
But you thought you could win.
The problem is, he gets defeated by Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne. No matter how you frame it, that's a difficult sell. A villain established as a multiverse-level threat. He needed a stronger film around him. What he got was Quantumania. The potential was enormous. The execution left significant aura on the table. The High Evolutionary is the villain from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I created you lot as merely an aesthetic experiment. Beautiful numbskulls.
He's genuinely one of the most purely evil characters the MCU has ever committed to screen. He's a scientist obsessed with creating the perfect species through genetic experimentation. He pursues this goal with a complete absence of empathy or conscience, genuinely disturbing to watch. He created Rocket Raccoon as one of his experiments, gave him intelligence and self-awareness, formed what appeared to be a bond with him, then tried to dissect his brain. He decided Rocket's intelligence exceeded his design parameters. That backstory is delivered in flashback sequences, some of the most emotionally brutal scenes in MCU history.
We were right. The sky is beautiful, and it is forever.
His face underneath the mask is deliberately grotesque, scarred, raw, and inhuman, reflecting the monster underneath the scientific authority. Chukwudi Iwuji plays him with a theatrical intensity that never breaks even in his most unhinged moments.
Anything I've done for the betterment of the universe.
He gets beaten by the entire Guardians team in the finale, but never once stops believing he's right. Zero redeeming qualities, maximum commitment, refreshing. Ego is the villain from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He's a celestial being who manifested a humanoid form, traveled the universe for millions of years. He is literally a living planet with a consciousness.
Layer by layer, the very planet you walk on now.
That sentence alone puts him in a category almost no other MCU villain can touch. He spent centuries seeding his biological material across thousands of planets. He was attempting to create another celestial, someone he could use to expand himself across the entire universe. He calls it the expansion. It would have consumed every living thing on every planet simultaneously. He's also Star-Lord's father.
My name is Ego, and I'm your dad, Peter.
which he uses with devastating emotional manipulation throughout the film. Kurt Russell plays him with a warm, folksy charm that makes his eventual reveal as a universe-consuming monster genuinely shocking. He also casually mentions he gave Star-Lord's mother a brain tumor to stop himself being distracted by his feelings for her. That single line reframes everything. He gets destroyed when Star-Lord uses his celestial abilities to detonate his core. An extraordinary villain concept executed almost perfectly. Zemo is the villain from Captain America: Civil War. He's the most dangerous thing an MCU villain can be. A completely ordinary human being with a perfect plan. Helmut Zemo lost his entire family in the Sokovia disaster. No superpowers, no army, no resources beyond his own intelligence and patience.
Stop. Stop.
He spent months infiltrating the UN bombing investigation, located the defunct Hydra facility in Siberia, manipulated every single Avenger simultaneously into destroying each other from the inside. He didn't want to defeat the Avengers. He wanted to break them apart permanently, and he succeeded. He gets Captain America and Iron Man into the same room, reveals the footage of Bucky Barnes killing Tony Stark's parents. Watches the Avengers tear themselves apart without throwing a single punch himself. That's a level of villain intelligence almost nobody else on this list can match. He gets captured at the end, but achieves every single goal he set out to accomplish. Zero powers. Defeated Earth's mightiest heroes through pure patience and psychology. Genuinely elite. Vulture is the villain from Spider-Man: Homecoming. Adrian Toomes is the MCU's most grounded and relatable villain by a significant margin. He's a salvage contractor. He lost his entire business when the government and Stark Industries shut down his Chitauri cleanup operation. No compensation, no warning, so he kept the alien technology he'd already collected. Built a black market weapons operation, selling Chitauri-based weapons across New York. Constructed the Vulture suit, a massive mechanical winged exosuit. Genuinely one of the best villain designs in MCU history. He's not trying to conquer anything, not trying to destroy the world. He's a working-class man who got stepped on by powerful people and decided to step back. Michael Keaton plays him with a completely natural blue-collar authenticity. Every scene feels real.
Wow. Wow, do you look beautiful.
Please don't embarrass me, Dad.
Doesn't she, Pete?
Then there's the car scene. He figures out Peter Parker is Spider-Man mid-conversation, doesn't break his expression for a single second. One of the greatest villain moments in MCU history. Absolutely elite character work. Namor is the villain from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. He's one of the most visually striking and ideologically compelling antagonists the MCU has produced in its recent era. He's the king of Talokan, an ancient underwater civilization, hidden from the surface world for centuries after being driven into the ocean by Spanish colonizers. He has tiny wings on his ankles that allow him to fly, superhuman strength that operates at an entirely different level underwater. A vibranium-tipped spear he uses with devastating efficiency. His introduction sequence is one of the most genuinely threatening villain entrances in recent MCU history. Talokan warriors silently eliminate an entire research vessel crew. Nobody sees it coming. He's not simply aggressive. He's protecting his people with the same fierce devotion that T'Challa protected Wakanda. His conflict with Shuri is genuinely compelling because both sides have legitimate grievances. His defeat comes when Shuri outmaneuvers him on the surface, where he's weakest.
Wakanda forever!
A villain the audience genuinely understood even while opposing him. Wanda is the villain from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Putting her on this list is genuinely complicated because half the audience never fully accepted her as a villain. She has the Darkhold, an ancient book of dark magic corrupting her mind completely.
The Darkhold.
You're familiar with the Darkhold?
I know it's the Book of the Damned, and that it corrupts everything and everyone that it touches.
She wants to find a reality where her children Billy and Tommy exist, take it for herself, destroy whatever version of herself already lives there. Her power level in this film is simply obscene. She dismantles the entire Kamar Taj sorcerer army alone, without breathing heavily. She tears through every obstacle placed in front of her with a calm efficiency that's genuinely terrifying. The Illuminati sequence where she methodically destroys one of the MCU's most powerful groups of heroes is jaw-dropping. The problem is the motivation. Destroying entire universes to reach children who aren't technically her children in any reality sits uncomfortably. Enormous power. Deeply uncomfortable villain arc.
You never quite feel what you're supposed to feel watching her.
Green Goblin is the villain from Spider-Man No Way Home. Norman Osborn's MCU appearance is a masterclass in reintroducing a classic villain and making him feel genuinely terrifying all over again.
Hiding from who you truly are. Oh. You can't escape yourself.
He arrives through the multiverse as one of the villains Doctor Strange pulls from other realities. Initially, he appears confused, gentle, the man underneath the Goblin persona.
Spider-Man in an ad for this place. And I thought he could help me. But you're not him.
Then the Goblin takes over. Everything changes. He blows up the Statue of Liberty scaffolding, sends a pumpkin bomb directly into May Parker's chest, then delivers the line that broke an entire generation of Spider-Man fans in that theater. With great power comes great responsibility. His presence is physically menacing in a way that feels different from every other villain in No Way Home. Willem Dafoe brings a theatrical intensity that commands every single scene, switching between Norman and Goblin mid-sentence with a facial expression shift that's genuinely unsettling. He gets cured at the end, but not before permanently altering Peter Parker's entire life. Maximum damage on minimum screen time. Xu Wenwu is the villain from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. He's the MCU's most emotionally devastating villain by a significant distance. He's wielded the 10 rings for over 1,000 years, 10 ancient metal rings of extraordinary power. He built and commanded an organization so powerful it operated in the shadows of every major world event across centuries. He's essentially immortal through the rings, the most dangerous fighter in the MCU outside of beings with literal superpowers. Tony Leung plays him with a quiet, devastating elegance that makes every scene feel genuinely weighted.
This is why you're here. To help me bring her back to us.
His love story with Ying Li is presented with enough genuine warmth that when she's killed, it feels like watching a real person break completely.
Papa.
His final mistake is allowing his grief to be weaponized. The creature behind the Ta Lo gate mimics his dead wife's voice, manipulates him into trying to release it. He dies, passing the rings to his son. A villain whose greatest weapon and greatest weakness were identical: his love. Hela is the villain from Thor Ragnarok. She announced her presence in the MCU by doing something nobody saw coming. Thor launches Mjolnir at her on their very first meeting. She catches it in one hand, holds it, looks at it like it's mildly interesting, then crushes it into pieces. Mjolnir, the hammer that defined Thor's power across 3 films, gone in 30 seconds. The audience did not recover from that for the rest of the film. She's Odin's firstborn.
I am Hela, Odin's firstborn, the commander of the legions of Asgard.
The original Asgardian executioner who helped conquer the 9 realms. Odin imprisoned her because she became too powerful to control. She arrives in Asgard and immediately kills established beloved characters without slowing down. Raises an entire undead army from beneath the ground.
I've missed you.
Fights Thor so thoroughly she removes his eye mid-battle, then delivers the line, "Now you remind me of Dad," without breaking stride.
Now you remind me of Dad.
Cate Blanchett plays her with a composed, theatrical elegance that makes every scene feel effortlessly dominant. An extraordinary villain who deserved more than one film. Loki is the villain across multiple MCU films. There's a reason he became the most beloved antagonist the franchise ever produced. He's Thor's adopted brother.
In the aftermath of the battle, I went into the temple and I found a baby.
He discovers his true identity as the son of frost giant King Laufey, manipulates his way onto the Asgardian throne, then arrives on Earth with a Chitauri army and attempts to conquer humanity. His costume design alone puts him in a different category. The horned helmet, the green and gold armor, the scepter. Every element works together perfectly. The Stuttgart kneel scene, where he commands an entire square of people to bow, is pure villain aura at its absolute peak.
Dead.
His His psychological manipulation of Black Widow from inside a cage where he's the prisoner and still completely in control is one of the greatest villain scenes in MCU history. Then Hulk picks him up and slams him into the floor repeatedly. That one moment cost him more aura than anything else on this entire list. He recovers it completely by dying defiant against Thanos in Infinity War. Complicated, brilliant, irreplaceable. Killmonger is the villain from Black Panther. Eric Stevens is the MCU's most complete villain from a pure character construction standpoint. He walks into a British museum in his very first scene, identifies a Wakandan vibranium artifact. The curator tells him it's not for sale. He asks her how she thinks her ancestors acquired it in the first place. First scene, zero action, complete command of the room. He's a former United States Black Ops soldier.
He wrapped up confirmed kills like it was a video game. Started calling him Killmonger.
Kill count. Scarification covers his entire body. Each raised scar represents a confirmed kill.
Just so I could kill you.
He infiltrates Wakanda by delivering Ulysses Claw's body as a trophy, challenges T'Challa for the throne in open court, reveals his true identity as N'Jadaka, son of Prince N'Jobu, defeats T'Challa in ritual combat, throws him over a waterfall, burns the entire heart-shaped herb supply, takes the throne. He achieves every single goal before the final act even begins. Michael B. Jordan plays him with a magnetic intensity that makes every line feel genuinely dangerous. His death is the most dignified villain exit in MCU history. He pulls the blade deeper himself, chooses the ocean over captivity. Absolute legend. Thanos is the villain from Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. There is no debate here. None. He's the only villain in MCU history who actually won. He assembled all 6 Infinity Stones. Against the combined resistance of every hero the MCU built across 10 years of films, snapped his fingers, erased half of all life in the universe. The Avengers threw everything at him. Wakanda's entire army, Thor with Stormbreaker, Doctor Strange with the Time Stone, Iron Man with every weapon in his armor. None of it was enough. He walks through the entire film like a force of nature, calm, philosophical, completely certain of his own righteousness. His fight sequences are extraordinary. His dialogue is extraordinary. He beats Hulk barehanded without a single Infinity Stone in the opening scene. Sets the tone for everything that follows. He tells Tony Stark he's not the only one cursed with knowledge. He completes the snap with Stormbreaker lodged in his chest, then tells Thor he should have gone for the head. He looks at half a universe dissolving and simply says it was inevitable. It was.